I am Tomaž Marš. I am professor of pathophysiology at the Institute of Pathophysiology at the Faculty of Medicine, University of Ljubljana. But currently I am also a Vice Dean of the Faculty for the Studies in Medicine. What makes me joy in my life? There are many components of life. One aspect or one part of being happy with the life, if I can use this word happy, is that you have a satisfaction at your professional life. So I think it's very important to go to the work with the joy and with the motivation. And another thing which I think is very important is also the balance between the professional life and personal life. We teach the students, the medical students, which they will do a very difficult profession and job, that first of all they have to care for themselves to be a good doctors. So to understand ourselves, to care for ourselves, then this you can understand what is the well-being of other people. So I try to balance professional and personal life and have a lot of joy outside of the work. I think this is a recipe for. Yeah, I totally agree with you that loneliness it's very harmful for our life. It could be explained very simply. It is a result of evolution of human being. So in evolution, we have been developed as a species, as a human, as a social beings. So it is utmost important for us to survive as an individual, to be in a society, to work together, and to be together with the rest of the people. So it's in evolution, those who have been individuals, they have much less probability, opportunity to survive. So evolution shaped us to be a social beings, and it has harmful effects. The isolation which we have been going through the measurements during the pandemic and epidemic, definitely a lot of people have been suffering depression, isolation, and indirectly also, of course, the incidence of many diseases increased during the pandemic. And of course, there was another proof that we are the social beings and we need the closeness of other people. Anyway, it fulfills us with to be together in a team or in a pair or whatever. It increases our cognitive thinking, so it has many dimensions, being together but not alone. And I think this is one of the hidden diseases or problems of our society, modern society, that more and more people are actually physically isolated. First of all, because of the job. We have a lot of this online or on distance work, which you have no interaction with the people. You are home together with the computer and that's it. And also the other people, I mean the other modern technologies and so on, which makes us more and more individual. You can just simply see the young people, the children and so on. In my age, we have been all the time out of the house, of the flats, together with the group, playing in the playing grounds, being all the time in a group. Now the children are more or less alone with the mobile phone. I think this will cause a lot of problems in the future. Definitely, yeah. I think till recently it was a sort of view that brains or nervous system directs everything what is in our lives. But now this thinking or these aspects have changed a little bit, substantially changed. So there are also other organ systems, particular skeletal muscles, which directs our lives. So it is a sort of like a retrograde or vice versa effects, not as it was thought a while ago that only brains and nervous system directs us. So this is something which changed the view how the human being is functioning. Definitely, it's very simple to explain. So we are getting a lot of information from our external world, okay, also from the internal environment. And these informations are of course processed in the brains, and our brains then decide what and how we will functioning. And a lot of this information actually comes also from skeletal muscle, which organize our mobility and movement and so on. So changing of the positions and so on. So this is something which is dynamic process, and of course we have to be constantly in the moving. This straighten our cognitive functions. Yeah, it has positive and negative effects. Is this classical view of the intensive metabolism is of course that we produce a lot of these oxidative species which are harmful on the long term for the health and for the cells and for the organs. But on the other side, it is also important that and this I think it's much more important, is that on the long term we have a balanced energetic balance in a human in the organism. So that means that we use so much energy as it is given or put it into the organism. So, and we use this energy through the metabolism, not only basal metabolism, but also to the muscle activity, to the physical activity. And this is the recipe for the healthy aging and long life. Very good question, and a lot of people doesn't know that 40 to 50% of our body is consistent of the skeletal muscle. So skeletal muscles are the largest organ or organ system which we have in our body. And of course, this has a huge impact on health. I mentioned before that the view on the relation between the brain, nervous system, and the skeletal muscle changed recently. Now we know definitely that skeletal muscle is the largest endocrine organ and far most important endocrine system. So through the skeletal muscle activity, skeletal muscles produce a lot of molecules which are released into this systemic blood circulation and so on, and it has many effects. I think one of the most important is metabolic effects. So skeletal muscles actually make everything that they have enough energy for the contractions and so on, and it has a very benefit effects that we use the energy storage. Beside that, skeletal muscle after the activity also care for the regeneration of the skeletal muscles. So that means that with the activity we actually maintain the skeletal muscle mass, and this is the most important for the healthy aging. So actually the first cytokine which was discovered was the cytokine which was related to was released from the skeletal muscle. But for a long time we didn't know what are actually the effects of those, we call it myokines. Now this picture and the importance of skeletal muscles is more clear as it was. So if I resume, physical activity reduce the risk for development of metabolic diseases, like for example diabetes, high pressure, blood pressure, dyslipidemias, hyperlipidemias, and it maintains the physical activity. We maintain the metabolic health. Beside that, skeletal muscles are also very related to the bones. With this physical activity we keep the bone mass, and we know what is the consequences of the inactivity, physical inactivity. Bone mass is reduced, definitely also the incidence of the metabolic diseases is increased. I always say to my students that without skeletal muscle activity and without physical activity we could not live for a long. Cytokines has many effects, and we have many cytokines. For example, the most important, which is related with the skeletal muscle, is interleukin 6. So interleukin 6 has these pleiotropic effects. Of course, it is one of the most important pro-inflammatory cytokines, but this interleukin 6, which is released from the skeletal muscle, has anti-inflammatory effects and metabolic effects. We know now from the studies and so on that skeletal muscles release interleukin 6 in a basal level, and of course this release during the physical activities is tremendously increased. And this interleukin 6, which is released from the skeletal muscle, first of all cares for the metabolic balance. but it is utmost important for the regeneration of the muscles. We know that if the basal level of the interleukin-6, which is released from the skeletal muscle, is low, then the regeneration of the skeletal muscle is also hindered. So there's people who has lower level of basal interleukin-6 release, has much rapid loss of skeletal muscle during the aging. And of course, then these lost muscles are then replaced with the fat issue, and we have a very dreadful condition which is called sarcopenic obesity in the older people, which is very difficult to treat, or almost impossible to treat. But this is the way of very unhelpful condition. Yeah, I would say that on the long term it's not beneficial. Huh? But okay, it could be explained in many ways. Huh? If we are alone, we have to be very disciplined to do, for example, physical activity. Huh? You have to have your schedule and so on, so you have to be very organized and very disciplined. Huh? While if you are in a society with other people and so on, it's always like a sort of like a trigger from, okay, let's go now for a walk, let's go now for running, let's go now, I don't know, swimming. It's always some kind of trigger. Huh? And if I connect this with what I stated before, that the physical activity is very important for healthy aging, then I would say that okay, we're talking now about the society or the human being as a species, or more on the individual level, on the society. Yeah. I will return now to the evolution. We always have been in a close connection with the nature, or actually dependent on the nature. And now we artificially breaking this relation. Human society is getting sort of like a distance from the nature. That is something which will self-destruct us, because we don't understand any more the nature. Younger people don't have a feeling for the nature, for the other beings, I don't know, they don't know the plants, they don't know the animals, they don't know that we are living in the ecosystem, we are not alone. Even if in the micro environment, not even in the macro environment or biosphere. Huh? Everything is interconnected. I mean, it's a basic principle of evolution. So what is positive goes further on through descendants, and what is negative or harmful, that of course is eliminated. This is the basic principle of evolution. So I would say that the only thing which is different from example 1,000 years or several thousand years ago with now, that everything goes more rapidly. How our society changed in last 200 years, it's something which is unimaginable if we compare it with the thousands years ago, or 10,000 or 100,000 years ago. So everything goes very rapidly. But we have very strong genetic imprint, and we just need to be put in the right environment so that this genetic information is in a proper way expressed. And it's not everything dependent on the genetic. Most what is important is phenotypic information. So what we get from the environment, this shapes us. The genetic has just a minimum effect in the end.